What is up, Cardano fam, ADA gang? We have so many exciting updates to break down today, so hit the subscribe, hit the like. Nice to see positive momentum for the price. 24-hour, the 7-day, it's been rallying, doing really good. Obviously, the market is heating up with Bitcoin touching 70K. Nice to see this. It's just a matter of time. Cardano has been moving in the right direction, and we see that trade volume has surpassed $550 million for 24 hours. So great to see the volume picking up, just like the comment says there. But let's dial back. Let's talk about some of the FUD going on. Then we'll break down the rest of the positive news. So, retweet by Charles. Justin Bonds is back on his engagement farming BS. Please don't amplify him. If he was interested in factual information, well, he would have checked with many of the SMEs who have offered to help him. Most of what he says in this thread is incorrect. This is good. I like to see when the community members call out nonsense, take screenshots of it, and present factual information. Because, guys, often what happens is if a project is doing good, many of these influencers will just use that general term. They just use another scapegoat to just ride. I see it all the time. I see it all the time in crypto Twitter, where people will just ride a project just to get some, engagement farming, and then on to the next one, on to the next one. And honestly, it's sad. So let's see what's going down here. We see in the post of it saying Genesis keys, a multi-sig that controls all rules. That's what Justin is saying. ADA is extremely centralized. That is the speculation there. That's his statement, as this uniquely hard-coded into the protocol. Finally saying IOG controls 5 out of 7 keys and can unilaterally change anything. Ironic, as ADA claims to be the most decentralized chain. So what's the response to this? Because it just gets worse and worse, right? This is a thread. Saying that first, the Genesis keys do not allow changing anything. These are a well-defined set of parameters that are updatable and many more that are not updatable without a code change. Second, the Genesis keys do not enable anyone to push out code. Stake pool operators must opt into any upgrade, and the Genesis keys only provide a mechanism to signal on-chain when everyone should switch to new rules. Third, the Genesis keys cannot halt the chain. They do have the ability to make dangerous changes to the parameters, which arguably is a distinction without a difference, but it is not the same thing. Fourth, Byron had a similar mechanism based on the threshold of held ADA, which at the time IOG likely met. They were also the only ones operating consensus and the only ones who knew how to trigger this, meaning it was practically the same. The point being that Shelley was a material improvement over what was there, as Chang will be a material improvement over what we have now. Fourth, while IOG do custody the keys for Emergo, similar to how Coinbase will custody keys for large institutional wallets, in practice violating that custody to act without Emergo's consent would be extreme levels of fraud. So a good analogy there, that sometimes just people look at things without the context and they just grossly generalize. Cardano has a lot of growth to do in this area, which it is actively engaged in. There are material and philosophical ways in which that Bonds is saying would be valid critiques, but as always, he amplifies, skews, and outright lies to farm engagement. But it is not correct to say that because of these reasons, Cardano is the most centralized chain. Decentralization is a multi-dimensional metric, and so it can be true that one area can be improved and other areas excel. This is facts. An intelligent analysis would weigh the relative risk and impact of these areas of poor decentralization being exploited and the ramifications of them. Which is more likely? A company that spent 7 years building a chain sabotaged it by setting max block size to 0, or a chain with an absolutely high Gini coefficient, leveraging that to extract liquidity out of their community. What's more likely to have a just outcome of it did happen: a fully doxed company changing their token emission schedule after years of commitment, likely constituting fraud, or an anonymous hacker exploiting a weakness in the consensus algorithm to short and tank a token. Interesting conversation here. It's becoming quite convoluted. I expect we'll see him to hop on a Twitter space and listen to the Cardano community so that he can come off as a terribly reasonable, so he can further his brand. So the takeaway here, I would say, guys, is that yes, it's multifaceted. A little bit of this is hard for me to wrap my head around it. But I would say that being pragmatic and it's multidimensional. It's not, this is a centralized chain, this one's not. It is multidimensional. And there's many arguments for decentralization of Cardano, and it will continue to get more and more decentralized, especially with Chang and whatnot in the future. I promise you the most effective way to combat this is to condemn him to irrelevancy by refusing to ride to his bait and deny him engagement by interacting with his post as little as possible. Well, we know that there's people who make it their day job just to FUD projects. It's a topic of conversation for them. They're marketing the project. Maybe they're salty because they bought the top. Maybe they missed out on gains. Maybe there's always going to be ulterior motives. One of the gains here are also to increase following and you know, it's these general gross statements, like ironic as ADA claims to be the most decentralized chain and then saying that it's basically the most centralized. ADA is extremely centralized, is just very bizarre, because the reality, we look at it in terms of owning your keys, your crypto. When we look at the wallet breakdown, when we look at staking, no vesting, when we look at not having to give your ETH to an entity to be a node operator, just these simple things, we can be reasonable to understand that there's some pretty good decentralization built in. So posts like this are very disingenuous, and they don't really look at it balanced. So there's ulterior motives here. Always look between the lines, guys, as 50 Cent says. We'll continue to surpass records with our volume. Let's jump into more positive news. Ironically, Cardano ADA is almost 30x more decentralized than Bitcoin based on Nakamoto coefficient. Now, Nakamoto coefficient is a measure of the smallest number of independent entities that can collectively, act to shut down a blockchain. And we look at the spread, we look at the wallets, we look at vesting periods, we look at liquid staking. There's many ways we can argue for many dimensions, many angles of decentralization for Cardano. So it's kind of bizarre. We were done with the one transaction per block, and now it's like we're not decentralized. Come on. Like, these guys got to come up with better arguments, because honestly, it's just kind of like distasteful. Stuff's doing so well. We have all these beautiful upgrades planned. We have Emergo jumping in. We have market making coming in. And these bozos just come up with this. It's frankly sad. I kind of pity them. Let's move to more positive stuff. An update. So we have Eric Balchunas. We have senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg, and another individual also speculating that Ethereum ETF approval may come sooner, and there's more of a positive shift. So some Bloomberg guys are saying that increasing their odds of spot Ether ETF approval to 75%, up from 25%. So hearing chatter this afternoon that SEC could be doing a 180 on this increasingly political issue. So now everyone's scrambling. Like us, everyone else assumed that they'd be denied. But there's more of a positive shift. People think that there's going to be a 180 where not only the president of the United States is going to 180 on the anti-crypto stuff, but this. In terms of this, why is this relevant to Cardano? Well, this is going to send bullish momentum. If they approve these Ethereum ETF filings, where there's also an article saying that SEC made some quick suggestions to the filings of tweak this, usually pending an approval, we could see a positive avalanche continue from this, and this will reflect on Cardano's price, this will reflect on the rest of the crypto market, and it will send it. I think it will be very important for us to send it, and maybe we'll have a bullish summer, but maybe we won't. Maybe we'll have denial of them, just kind of a bait and switch, and we still go through a bearish summer and still pending Q4 and beyond. So TLDR is that the negative speculation that it would be denied is seemingly very positive for now, that it will be approved. And so what do you guys think? This is a quote retweet to Nate Gerasi saying, SEC decision deadline this week on spot Ether ETFs. SEC must approve both the 19B-4S exchange rule changes and S1S registration statements for ETFs to launch. Technically possible for SEC to approve and then slow play. given reported lack of engagement here. So who knows what's going to happen, guys? Who knows what's going to happen? It's very unpredictable with the SEC. It seems like they go to everything under the sun. But I think that there is some credibility to what they say here. These guys, it looks like ETF is their bread and butter. So I think that everything is leaning towards the approval. And when I zoom out of this and I put on my XRP hat on with what Brad Garlinghouse is doing, launching on Ethereum also, and he has alluded to it as well, that the future is interconnected, multiple ETFs, baskets of ETFs, and that's going to include Cardano. We saw that ETP recently, the Swiss one. I think it's ticker CASL, to take advantage of the staking and the appreciating asset. We're going to see more of this, and I think Cardano will be also a topic of conversation for future ETF filings and baskets of ETFs. ADA is extremely decentralized. So forget about the clown action. The clown action doesn't even have good merit to even normal users who aren't even as advanced as the conversations that were taking place here. Cardano is extremely decentralized. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to kind of tell that, as this is uniquely hard-coded into the protocol. Every element, dimension, and mechanic has been engineered to excel. Value investors miss this investment, distracted by other shiny false promises. Cardano will live on, rent-free, forever. And even Monad has said that. Bill Monday has talked about the slow progression. You don't want to just go up super fast, because what goes up must come down. And I'd rather have slow organic growth than to just go skyrocket, sky high. And guys, look, the proof is in the pudding. What a beautiful bull run here. What a beautiful bull run here. Guys, we can look at many projects that are performing really bad. Here you go. Here you go. How's this doing? How's this doing, right? How's this doing, right? And this is just one example. We look at the market cap, we look at the price, we look at the dilution, we see what? Big dilution. This is just one. Let's look at another one. Okay, let's look at another one. How's this one doing? Look at this, guys. I mean, when we look at this project, it actually did worse in 2021, and it's in the slump. It's in the slump, but it's a top 100 project. So where's the critique for these asshat projects? And yet people, number 11, we had like a 10, 15% rally 7-day. Look at that, man. It's just people are caught up in their emotions, and they don't realize that we can coexist. The future is interchain, and we will coexist with many of these projects. Some of them will phase away, like some of the ones that I showed you that are old narrative projects that are not evolving. You can still be old narrative, but you got to evolve. And Cardano is evolving. $1.5 billion, 1.5 billion ADA, treasury unlocking. We have so much hyperscalability, on-chain governance, presence, high velocity news. I don't see that with many projects. Heck, sometimes XRP, I was blasting them for just like, bro, like, where's the news? I go to the CTO, he's talking about troll jokes. I go to the CEO, he posts like once a week. I go to Ripple, they post like once a week. Cardano's killing it, man. ADA gang. So when you combine the charismatic leadership, the bustling developer community, the rampant news, the war chest, guys, there's projects that are struggling, thirsty for a grant, not getting it, and we have a war chest coming up. So we got to be grateful for what we have. And if you bought the top of any project, you're going to be salty with whatever the ticker is going to be. You know what I'm saying? So I think we have a lot of good going for us. Let's be careful with the bozos who are just claiming we're extremely centralized, which it's so bizarre. I don't even understand that statement. I don't support it. I don't support that kind of statement. So just in bounds. That's what these guys do. That's what they do. They love to just like slam networks that are just... it's one thing to talk about a price, and it's like, okay, the price is low. It's another to make these bold, blazing statements about the decentralization of it, like it's fact. But that's what people do, like negative headlines trend. People love this stuff. And the tribalistic mindset of like, my network is right. It's that villain arc BS. I'm a money maxi. I'm the Persian merchant money maxi. I like Bitcoin. I have many miners. I like Ethereum. I'm staking it. I like Tether. I don't have any right now because I'm compelled to use USDC as a Canadian. But guess what? I also like USDC. USDC these nuts. USDT these nuts. Big fan of CZ. Big fan of Binance. Big fan of Solana. My brother pre-ordered the Solana phone. I like Solana. You guys have seen me use like Pumped Up Fun. You see, I have Sol. I stake in Sol. I like XRP. I worked in XRP projects. I spoke to XRPL Labs. I like Flare. I like what they do with XRP. I like Dogecoin because it triggers emotion and it's dope. And it's a Litecoin fork. And this came from Bitcoin. I like Ton because Telegram has great UX. I like Cardano because they're doing all the great things. I like Avalanche. I like their branding. Shiba Inu, it's cool. I don't know about the future of it. You know? So my point being is that there's so many dope projects. It's kind of foolish to just slam one and just stick with one for the rest of your life. I like the law of subtraction. Choose a few that you like. You don't need to choose everything under the sun. But choose good projects, have conviction with them, and half of the thing is just like being patient. Sometimes you just gotta be patient, you know? My gut feeling for me with Cardano was like, yo, you like this project? Like, scoop up some bags here. I don't know what it was. I was on a Discord call with my buddy. I'm like, you know what? I'm going in. And I scooped up a lot of ADA in the 24 cent. Scooped up a lot in the 2020. And I did goblin hands in between here. I did buy some, but then I was repeatedly selling. Buying more, selling. Buy more ADA. And I was just trying to increase my ADA bag. So do the strategy that works for you. We all have different strategy. I'm not here to prescribe what will work for you guys, but I'm just sharing my anecdote, my story, and hopefully, you know, it can resonate with you guys, and let me know what you guys think. I think ADA has a beautiful future ahead of itself. I'm very excited for the future of ADA, and that's reflecting in the social sentiment, in the charts, and the people making fun of it. So, longer video, guys, but, you know, we got to explain some of that context there. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. Let me know what you guys think about Cardano and the future of ADA, and I'll see you guys in the next Angry Crypto Show.